Good morning. So we're here and we're tired this morning. That doesn't mean we won't work though. Just want to make sure you're able to see everything. That should do it. Let me get live over here. We are live over here. Hang on. Probably make you guys sick with all of the moving around that I do. Wish I could make this screen smaller. So that's the only problem about going live is that I can't do all these edits and other mistake erasers that I do when I'm filming videos. So hopefully the mat is visible to you throughout the class. If I cut off my head or my arms or something, you hopefully aren't watching me a whole bunch anyway. You're doing your thing. And hopefully if that happens, it's not at a time where you need to look at me to figure out what you're supposed to be doing. Good morning. I was going to say, no new news, live classes or in-person classes, I guess I have to say now. Nothing new going on there. We will still be here at 9:15 for the foreseeable future. We're in a hot spot right now, so I don't know what that's going to mean, but we'll see, right, you guys? Hi, Dina. Yeah, Sandy. Hey, guys. Good morning. Oh, you come in at 11. Okay, awesome. I'll see you then. Yeah, so I'll be there today. I want to work on opening up the hips. So take your time. We're going to start off nice and easy. We'll build up into maybe some more challenging places. But just really think about the rotation of your hip joint and keeping the pelvis in a level place. Because if the pelvis shifts, the hip isn't really doing maybe what you think it's doing. So if the pelvis stays neutral and the leg is opening, then that's where the stretch is. That's where the mobility is. We always want to think about keeping ourselves safe, though, because you can go too far, right? If we're not watching, you can always overextend, right? If you're a little bit more mobile in your joints, you probably already know what I'm talking about. So the idea of hugging to the middle that we do all the time anyway is going to be important here as well. So keep that in mind. And it is time. So let's go ahead and head over to the mat. We are going to start in child's pose today. So make your way there. And if anything goes wrong with the video or the audio, please holler. Give me a heads up because I can't always tell. So I'm going to try to make sure you guys can see me and hear me at all times, but sometimes things go crazy. So come on down and rest yourself in child's pose. And child's pose can be very restful, okay? But it's a pretty big stretch. So if this is not super comfortable, maybe don't drop in so deep. You can always prop with a pillow or a rolled towel or whatever it is that you have to use. Maybe prop your forehead up on a block or your fists as well. And just allow yourself to be here. And as you hold, maybe your body relaxes a little bit and you can gently move in. You can play with your knees a little closer together, a little further apart. Remember, you can make this yours, and this is pretty nice. And if you wanted to stay longer than we're going to, certainly feel free. So while you're in child's pose, there's nothing to look at. So for now, you can close your eyes for sure. And really become aware of your breath. And if your knees or if your belly is resting on your legs, your thighs, you can feel the belly press against the thighs more as you inhale and less as you exhale. And as you deepen the breath, it may be a little bit challenging. So instead of continuing to press the belly down where it can't really move, feel like you're expanding through your side ribs, or feel like you're expanding through the lower back ribs. And just gradually make your way to that nice full yoga breath, feeling the whole chest cavity expand and contract. Taking these moments just to center the mind, to get that nice, freshly oxygenated blood going. And then staying that inwardly focused. So maybe even leave your eyes closed for now. Keep that nice big breath flowing. And we're going to gently make our way up onto hands and knees. So take your time here. Cushion if you need to cushion, certainly. Let your fingers spread wide and feel the body weight nice and even on the hands. Knees right up underneath the hips here. And then flowing with the breath, let's take some cat-cows, inhaling the belly toward the floor. Exhaling and rounding the spine toward the ceiling. Connected to the breath, let's float in and out of those two poses. Stretching through the spine. Go ahead and take one more flow like that. And then find a middle. So that hugging in idea that I talked about earlier, make sure your belly's drawn in to support the lower back. And then we're going to extend the right leg straight back. So heel in line with the hip. It will lift higher, but this is the weird pelvis thing that I was talking about before, right? So really work to keep the pelvis squared and level. Press through that back heel. At the same time, you're hugging into this center area, right? From there, extend the left arm forward and stretch in opposite directions. Feel the body wiggle a little bit here. Feel all the muscles that are working to hold you up. And then we're going to release that back down. So take the second side, extending the left leg. Same idea, pressing through the heel at the same time as you're kind of pulling into the center. Extending the right arm when you're ready. Take your time. Sometimes one side is really easy and the other side is awful weird and whatever. Breathing. And then releasing that side back to the mat. Let's go back to that first side, extend right leg and left arm again. Take your time, still really muscularly active, right? So we're reaching away, we're hugging into the middle. And then this time here, take the arm over to the left. So your hand is in line with your shoulder-ish. We're gonna bring the leg around to the right, heel in line with the hip-ish. Pressing through the heel, stretching through the fingertips. You're breathing, you're very happy about all of this. And then take the hand back to the floor. Bring the toes over to the side here. And then let's come up on the left knee. So cushion the knee if you need to cushion, of course. Heel in line with the hip. We're gonna extend the left arm up and take it over. So keeping the shoulder drawn back, looking up at the ceiling or sky if you're outside, lucky. Stretching down the leg, really feeling the left side ribs open. And then bring it back up to center. So we're gonna play with this inner hip here that I was talking about earlier. And you should already feel a little bit of a stretch here, right? Or a little bit of an opening. The pelvis stays again in this centered place. And right now the toes are pointing forward. Keep the foot flexed and imagine rotating your toes to kind of point toward the ceiling. So it's just coming from here. You're not rotating at the knee doesn't do that. And you're not just kind of sitting back with the hip, right? So your toes may not point to the ceiling, but they're more toward the ceiling than the floor, maybe. So just do that a couple times. Bring your toes back down, pointing forward, and then rotate them up. And you can move a little bit, maybe a little bit with your breath. But again, looking to feel that action in the hip joint. Take your time, not a race. And again, the goal is to feel the stretch, not necessarily to get the toes in any one direction. We're gonna do that one more time. Go ahead and rotate up. And then back down to the floor. We're gonna take the hands to the mat. Lift the leg, hold it out there for just a second, press through the heel, and then take the leg back and down to the knee. So that same idea on the second side. Let's extend the left leg and the right arm. So the idea of stretching away and pulling in is really important here as we open out to the side. So the arm to the right, leg around to the left. Release the hand, go ahead and take your toes to the floor. And then let's come up on the knee. So of course, cushioning, heel in line with the hip for now, toes pointing forward. It's easy to get a little cramp there, so let it go if you did. Extending the right arm, we're gonna take it up and over. Letting the shoulder draw back. Taking one more nice big breath. And then inhaling as we lift back up. And work into the hip here. So again, the pelvis stays nice and neutral. Keep your belly engaged. And then keeping the foot flexed, begin to rotate your toes to point more toward the ceiling or back or however your brain sees that. And just gently pressing the toes forward and then opening them up. Feeling the action in the hip. And just kind of see where the extension is. Go ahead and do that one more time, up and down. And then release the hands to the mat. So make sure the belly's pulled in. Let's go ahead and lift the left leg. Hold for a second. And then take it back and down. So one more here on the hands and knees for right now. Go ahead and extend that right leg and left arm. Bending at the knee, take the hand around and find the foot. So I'll give you a little cheat. If you have a hard time finding the foot, if you open the knee, the foot comes more towards your left hip, and then it's easier to find. But then, of course, you have to straighten back up again. So find the stretch. Find it wherever is a challenge, right? You can press the foot into the hand, you can put the toes higher. Make sure you're breathing, the right hand is comfy. You're not dumping into the wrist, right? And then release that, go ahead and stretch long. And come on down. So let's go second side. Left leg, right arm. Last time here, when you're ready, we bend at the knee and use that little cheat there so the foot's easier to find maybe. Square the hips and just work till you find the stretch over here. And just like with anything, it can be different on this side. We'll release that stretch long and come on down. So nice and easy again. Go ahead and sit back into that child's pose where we started. And this one probably feels a lot better than the other one. So stretching the arms out nice and long, go ahead and ground the four corners of the hands. This time we're gonna come up into our first down dog. So as always here, just let yourself wiggle and stretch. And then settling yourself in. So grounding into the four corners, push away from the floor, make the arms work a little bit. Let your head hang between your arms, press the chest back toward the thighs. See about sinking the heels toward the floor. And again, you just want to find that stretch in the calves. Don't worry about actually touching the floor. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. From here, let's go ahead and lift the right leg. Press through the heels. And keeping the hips square, just like we did before, rotate your toes to point out, to the side, and then bring them back. Try to keep the hips level for now. We'll play with that in a second. Just rotating the hip joints and see where it'll go. Do that one more time, out and in. And then we'll go ahead and step the right foot forward, come to lunge. So let's drop the back knee to begin. Make sure the toes are up at the top so your knee and ankle stack, and then take the right leg straight. Gently work into your hamstring stretch, so if you need to be propped, prop. Keeping the shoulders down and back. And then bend into the knee and let the hips sink. Lifting the chest, keep the hips where they are. Nice little twist here. Bring the right hand to the hip and rotate around. Belly, side, ribs, and shoulder. So just nice and gentle again. We're going to release that twist and take the leg straight again. And if you want a little bit extra stretch, you can, of course, lift the left knee up off the floor. Maybe you just want to flex the foot back, add a bigger fold. You're listening to what your body needs from you this morning. And then again, we'll bend into the knee, sink low, lifting the chest. You can stay low, supporting. You can climb up on that thigh maybe. Lift the chest. Come as vertical as you can with your upper body. Continue to sink into the hips, keeping them square. And if you'd like, extend the arms. Looking up at the lifted hands, unless that makes you too wobbly. Then don't worry about that. Keep the back of the neck long. Make sure you're breathing. And then let's release that. We'll make our way back to down dog. And then let's go second side. So we're going to lift the left leg, keeping the hips square, straight back. So it does not have to be high, yeah? Right now the toes are pointing down at the floor, but rotate and see if you can open up and have them point out to the side a little bit. Again, making sure you're feeling the action in the hip joint. And don't worry how big it is, just feeling the movement, feeling the stretch. Let's do it once more. Point the toes at the floor again, and then we're going to step forward into our lunge. Dropping the right knee, toes to fingers here, and when you're ready, left leg straight. So just finding the stretch on this side. May or may not be the same. Let's bend back into the knee. Sink into it. So let your chest open and lift here, keeping the spine nice and long, belly pulled in. We're going to bring the left hand to the hip and rotate into that little baby twist on this side. Release around, and then take the leg straight again. So remember that right knee up off the floor variation if you want that. You can just flex the foot back or hide your deeper fold. Keep the shoulders back. Pelvis nice and square. And then bending back into the knee one more time. So let the hips drop. Keep them square as we climb up. Let your upper body come as vertical as it can, and then the arms extend if that's where you want to go with it today. And then we'll release it, come back over into the lunge, make your way back to down dog. So let's go ahead and lift that right leg again. We're going to begin, like we did, by rotating the toes out to the side, but this time let your hip open. So the whole hip moves, not just in the little socket there. So you're feeling that in the left hip as well. You can bend the knee and imagine pointing your right knee up toward the ceiling. It may or may not actually be at the ceiling, but open. Take one more breath. Take that right leg straight, square your hips again, toes point at the floor, release the right foot down. So same idea, second side, lift the left. Begin by just the toes rotating open, so you're feeling it in the hip joint first, then let the hip lift higher, working to keep the shoulders level, then the knee, and the knee points up toward the ceiling. Straight leg, square hips, and then the left toes back to the mat. So one more time here, let's drop on down to the knees and sit back in a child's pose. And remember, anytime you're in child's pose, the hands can come back by the heels and you can let the shoulders fall forward, get a little extra break. Now breathe in. Do you feel where the breath is flowing maybe a little bit differently, right? Not just into the belly. So let's go ahead and make our way back up into a down dog. From that down dog, walk the feet forward, come into a standing fold. And instead of having the feet right up underneath the hip bones like we normally do, let's open them up a little bit. So just a little wider than normal. Rounding into the four corners of the feet. And then taking the hands, walk them over to the right. So you may be touching the floor, you may be up on your shin, you might even be up on your thigh. For now, let the body weight shift over into the right hip a little bit here. And then take it through the center, over to the left. So the hands are wherever they are. Let the body weight shift. And then come on back to center again. We're going to take the feet a step wider. So as you open your feet, make sure you're all on or all off your mat. You don't want half of your foot on and half of it off. This time we're going to stay really steady in the legs, right? So we don't want to feel the shift to the side. Go ahead and walk your hands over to the right again. If the hips shift, shift them back, right? Keep the feet centered, the hips level. And just notice how that changes what's going on, where you feel your stretch. Back through the center, take it to the left. And then back to the middle again. So one more time here, go ahead and open the feet a step wider. And if you want to turn sideways on your mat, you're more than welcome to do that. Still don't want to be crazy wide, just wider. Toes are pointing forward here. We're even in our feet. Let's go ahead and take the fingers to the lower back, interlacing. Draw the shoulder blades toward each other, stretch the hands away from the shoulders. Up off of your back is fine, but don't necessarily make that the goal. Stretch away. Feel the shoulders move away from the ears. And then release the hands back to the mat. So one last time, go ahead and open your feet a little bit wider. And of course, if you already got to as wide as you could be 2 steps ago, that's fine. Right? Instead of having your toes point forward here, go ahead and turn them out, say 45 degrees-ish. That might be perfect for you. You may need to adjust as we go. You'll know in a second. So work with your breath here. As you exhale, bend into the right knee. We want the knee pointing in the same direction as the toes. Yeah? And we don't want the knee coming forward of the toes. So coming back to center, do the same thing over to the second side. And if it takes a little longer to sort of adjust and make sure your feet are in the proper place, that's fine. But once they are, follow your breath. Exhaling as you bend, and then inhaling as you come back to the middle. Exhaling into the other side. And as you move, as you open up a little bit, you may need to change your feet again. So just watch what's going on. Breathe. Lean on the hands as much as you need to lean on your hands. If you want to get fancy and say when you're bending the right knee, flip your left toes up toward the ceiling, you can add that. It's early though, so listen to what your body's telling you to do. It's fun to play and see where things go. And sometimes they're for you and sometimes not so much. So let's go one more time on each side like that. And then coming back to the middle, we're going to lock the feet back in. Bring them up underneath your hip bones. So the toes are pointing forward here. We're nice and even on the feet. Go ahead and slide your hands either up to your thighs or your hips. Elbows pointing toward the ceiling. We're going to come halfway up. Pause for a second. Make sure your belly's pulling in. Hug the center. And then all the way up. Inhale. And release your arms. All right. So let's take some sun salutes, moving a little bit more quickly with the breath. Listen to your body. Try and keep your breath flowing as smoothly as you can. So let's inhale, stretch up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come halfway up. Exhale, step yourself back to plank. So take knees if that's where you are. Drop it down to the belly, elbows tight to the sides, hands next to the sideburns, and just a little shoulder roll. Exhaling, release it. Make your way up and back, down dog. And with the inhale, step forward into fold. Halfway up. Exhale over. And then all the way up. Release the arms. Again, just like that, inhale. Take it to fold. Halfway up. Exhale to your plank. Dropping down that same exhalation if you can. Hands back sides, rolling as you inhale and releasing. Back to down dog. Stepping forward, inhale. Halfway up. Back over again, exhale, and then come all the way up. Exhaling at the top. So we're going to add in with this next one. Skip it if that's where you need to be. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, fold forward. Coming halfway up. Back to our plank. Down to the belly. Roll into a little cobra. And release it back to down dog. This inhale, step the right foot forward to lunge. Toes all the way up there. Heel or knee to the mat. And lift the arms. Exhale, come back down, step back, down dog. Sliding forward to plank. Take it down. Inhale to cobra. Release, down dog. And then the left foot steps forward. Heel or knee to the mat. Coming up. Exhale, back down again, step back, down dog. So the last one of these, slide forward plank. Exhaling to the belly. Roll to your cobra. And release back to down dog. And then holding your down dog or drop down into child's pose. So you decide, we're going to take a little mini break here. Take as big a break as you need. And follow your breath. Right? So if you're panting a little bit, drop down. If you're fine, hold your down dog. Take one more breath wherever you are. And if you drop down, go ahead and lift back to down dog. Inhale and step the feet forward. Halfway up. Back over again. And then all the way up. And release. So down with those sun salutes, let's go ahead and we're going to drop back into the down dog. So stretch up. Folding forward. And when you get down, go ahead and step back, down dog. So like we did before, we're going to step the right foot to the hands and lunge. This one's going to be a little bit different though. So roll over your left toes and then bring the left knee to the floor. So your right knee may come in front of your right toes. And normally we don't do that, but here we're going to stay low. So it's just a nice little stretch. If it's too much pressure on your knee, forget it and maybe take more of a traditional knee ankle alignment. So really stretch into that right heel. Sink into your hips. Keep them level though. They'll roll all over the place if you let them. You want to keep really square. And if you need to stay low, with the hands stay low. Maybe climb up on the thigh here. Lifting your chest, your upper body. You can press into the hands and get a bit more stretch. You decide. And just like before, you can extend the arms if that's where you want to be. Maybe reaching up toward the ceiling. Relax your shoulders. Focus on opening up the front, especially, of that left hip there. Let's take another big breath. And then gently release the hands. Roll over the back toes again, lifting the knee, and then making your way back into your down dog. We're going to do the same thing on the second side. So step the left foot forward. Work your toes there. Roll over the back toes so the right knee is on the mat. It's just a little bit shorter stance. So you're changing what's going on in the calf here for sure. You might be able to get a little deeper into the hip as the hip stays square this way. But again, if it's too much pressure on the knee, just take it back into your more traditional alignment. So sink the heel, sink the hips, and then maybe lift the chest or the torso or however your brain sees this. So keep the chest opening and the arms maybe reach up, maybe not. And then we're gonna release that, bring the hands back down, roll over your back knee again, back to your lunge, and into down dog again. So go ahead and step your right foot forward into lunge. I'm gonna start with my left foot just so you can see what's going on. So bringing the toes all the way up to the hands again. We're gonna drop the back heel and lift the upper body. So you've got warrior two going on. Right toes are pointing out-ish. So you're feeling that right inner hip, right? And then the left knee pointing forward in line with the toes. So you're feeling into this inner hip, yeah? The more you open your feet, the more you're feeling that stretch. You can turn your right toes in a little bit to release that, or having the back of your foot, the outside of your foot, parallel to the outside edge of, or your back edge of your mat. So play with that and see where you need that sensation to be. Extending the arms. We're gonna take the left leg straight. Reach forward of the toes and then hinge over into a triangle. So leaning on your leg if you need to lean. You can let that arm just kind of dangle in space. You can walk if that's you. And again here, we're looking for the open sensations in the inner hips. So even into the feet, pulling the legs toward each other underneath, that helps stabilize the joint like we talked about earlier. And then we're gonna bend back into the knee, come back over into our down dog. So switching sides, step your left foot forward. Work your toes to your fingers here, so you've got that knee ankle alignment. Go ahead and drop the back heel and lift the upper body. So again, you're looking for the sensation in the left hip and the right hip, right? And where the toes and the knee points makes all the difference in the world. What's going on? How low you are into your lunge makes a big difference as well. Always keeping the knee stacked over the ankle here. Extending the arms if that's you. Hugging the legs toward each other. Feel the stability in the joint. Take the right leg straight. Reach it forward and then hinge over. Lean on the leg if you feel like you need to lean. Let's release it, come back to lunge, and then snap back to your down dog again. So playing with this just a little bit, from your down dog, instead of having your elbow creases point inward, rotate them out toward the top of your mat, bend your elbows, and drop your forearms to the floor. Go ahead and drop down to your knees and sit back into child's pose. It's just a backward way to get us down to child's pose. Normally you just drop your knees first, right? This just changes that up a little bit, makes your brain work. So from your child's pose, come up onto forearms and knees. Tuck your elbows up underneath your shoulders. So grabbing the outside edge of your elbow is a really easy way to make sure that the elbow is up underneath the shoulder. Take your arms back out. You can have sphinx or interlaced fingers out front, either way. Press down nice and even into your forearms. Imagine pulling your elbows together up underneath, so your upper body should be pretty active, even though you're not really doing anything. Make sure your belly's pulled in to support the back. We're gonna step the feet back and come into a plank position. So the hips in line with the ankles and the shoulders. And yes, it's challenging. You can have your knees on the floor, right? Just like we do with regular planks, We just want to make sure that the belly doesn't hang, especially from your knees, otherwise it's all gone, right? And that your butt's not sticking up in the air. So find the middle. And then drop on down to the knees, all the way down to the belly. Give yourself a second here. This just feels good. And then let's go ahead and roll over onto the back for a second. And it's not Shavasana, so don't get super excited. You do have to get back up off the mat. Not far, but we do. Take a second to make sure that the pelvis is even, the shoulders are even. We're gonna have the feet flat to the floor, so the knees are bent. Ideally, the feet are hip long distance, the knees are pointing up at the ceiling. So we want to keep what we've got going on the backside and extend the right leg. And we do this at the end of class a lot, not a lot, but you'll see it, right? But today we want to feel that opening in the hip. So we want to keep the pelvis level. We're going to open the right leg to the right until you feel your left hip start to get a little light, right? So the second you feel more weight in the right hip than, or the right cheek, I guess maybe, then the left is where you're gonna stop. It may not be very close to the floor. Do not even let that enter into your brain. So wherever that is, hold your leg up with your hand. So it's not the inner hip squeezing to hold the leg there. And then we're gonna do like we did earlier. Flex your right foot. Keep the left knee pointing at the floor, the left hip on the mat, nice and heavy. And then imagine rotating your toes toward the floor and your heel toward the ceiling. So again, may not be a very big movement at all, but you're feeling that in the hip. And you get to work against gravity a little bit, right? So I shouldn't say against it, but it's helping, and you have to make a little bit of work to keep yourself safe, right? So just feeling that sensation in the hip, we're gonna take another breath here. And then come back up to the middle, release your right foot. So that same idea on the second side. Extend your left leg straight up toward the ceiling. You may or may not have it exactly vertical. If you can be a little closer to your head, that's fine. Be careful of not being quite vertical with the foot down toward the bottom of your mat. Okay. Try and keep it at least aligned with your hips. So then the same idea, the foot is flexed, the hips are going to stay level. We're going to open the leg out to the left till just before that right hip starts to get light. So wherever it is, you'll feel the shift if you go slow enough. And then support the leg, flex your foot nice and firm. So you're already feeling this inner hip, ideally, right? If you flex the foot and press through the heel, you may feel a little bit more sensation there. And then again, rotating the toes. Don't worry about a big motion, just feeling the difference in the stretch. Nice big breaths here. And then we'll bring that back up and release the left foot back to the floor. So it's so tempting to stay here, but we're not going to. We're gonna roll back over to the belly. Sorry. I don't do that very often, but I always feel bad when I do. So we are going to press ourselves up. Let's go to a kneeling plank. So hands next to the side ribs, lifting up with the whole body together, opening into this side plank here. Kneeling plank, not side plank yet. We are going there though. So let's take the left foot. You can't necessarily see so well, but the left foot over to the left side of the mat and open the body to the right here. So we've got the left hand, left knee, right toes at the back of the mat. The body's a straight line as if you were standing up, kind of. So you can absolutely stay here. If you'd like, see about bringing the right foot to the inside of the left leg. And it doesn't necessarily have to be all the way up into the inner thigh. If you can go there, great. If you can't, don't worry about it. So we're feeling that same rotation in the inner hip here. Try not to let your pelvis move because otherwise you fall over, right? So if to the inside of the leg is just not happening, it can be in front of. And your toes maybe point more at this kind of 45-degree angle. If they can point toward the back of your mat and your knee can open toward the back of your mat, great. So we're holding here, we're breathing, we're feeling this nice in our hip. And then we're going to release that. So make your way back to kneeling plank. Same exact thing on our second side. So the right foot this time over to the right, opening the body to the left. Make sure your right hand is happy. If your wrist hurts, the rest of it kind of gets lost, right? So we're here, you can hold, you can bring the left foot to the inside of the right leg, you can bring it in front of, right? Remember, the more your toes turn toward the back of your mat and the knee turns toward the back of your mat with it, you'll get that bigger sensation. If you don't need a big sensation, maybe the toes don't quite point there. Let's release that, coming back to the center. Go ahead and drop back into child's pose again. So we're going to play with that piece one more time. And you can make it harder, you can make it easier, you can take a break, whatever you need. So we're going to come back to our kneeling plank. Take the left foot over to the left, opening the body to the right. And again, maybe it's here, maybe it's just bringing the foot to the front with the knee opening. Maybe you're all the way to the inner thigh, wherever you are there. If you want to add on, take your right index and middle fingers, reach down and grab for your big toe. So you may need to stick your butt out and let your chest drop forward, but then once you have your toe, you want to open back up into that nice alignment again. So you should be feeling a pretty intense stretch in the hip. If you want, take the leg straight. So if your bottom is sticking out just so you can find your toe, you've lost the stretch in the hip, right? So just reopen, and maybe you don't grab your toe today. Release that, take it back to kneeling plank. And let's go the second side. Okay, so the right foot over to the right, open the body to the left. And then you decide how fancy to get. Where do you want to play? Where does your body want to go? And back to bed. Sometimes. So if you want to add the leg, certainly add the leg, but watch the hips. Remember, that's the whole point of all of this. And then release that. Make your way back to your kneeling plank and sit back to child's pose. So we're going to rock the hands into the knees. Come and sit up on your heels for a second here. We're going to be up on the tops of the knees. So if you need some cushion, give yourself some cushion. Grab a towel, whatever you need there. And then come on up to the tops of the knees. So we want to keep the hips over the knees. Try not to lean back. We want to keep the tailbone tucked a little bit so the lower back does not pinch. And then you've got options with your hands. You can absolutely just start with them on either side of the lower back. You can interlace behind your back like we did earlier. Let's get into the position, and then if you want to change your arms from there, that's fine. So tailbone tucking, shoulder blades pull toward each other, and then the chest is going to lift up toward the ceiling. So you're creating space in the spine, and you can open up into the back bend. If you just fall back, things get pinched, and you can't get in there as much as if you keep some space. So lower back long, the back of the neck is nice and long, chest is open and lifted. So there's tons of space in the spine. And if you want to play with the arms, you can open them out to the sides, right, to further open the chest. You can bring them in line with the ears, opening the chest that way, and adding a little bit of body weight to bring you back a little deeper. Remember your space and length. Take one more breath. Change your arms if you feel like you need to first, and then gently make your way up. Release your arms. Go ahead and sit back on your heels. Even if you don't have this, give your back a second. Turn the air down. I'm still very sweaty. So hopefully I'm not the only one. So go ahead and extend your mat or get rid of your cushion, whatever you were doing there for your knees. Give yourself a down dog. And then we'll drop the knees. Let's bring the legs around front. So extending the legs long in our thigh rotation. Sitting up tall, belly is in, yeah. Reach the arms, and then we're gonna hinge from the hip, come forward. Let the hands fall. Keep your chest open and lifted. With an inhale, we're gonna come back up again and release the arms. So let's bring the soles of the feet together. If you're very far forward or very far backward on your mat, you may want to scoot forward because we'll be rocking down in a second. So soles of the feet together, heels in toward the groin. Hang on to your ankles, lift your chest. Let the inner hip just release. So maybe the knees are a little bit more open than sometimes. Let's lean back and balance. And then go ahead and round your spine and drop on down to your back. So take it all the way down. And now this time we're there for good. Well, for the rest of the class anyway. Instead of, you're gonna keep the soles of the feet. But instead of grabbing onto the ankles here, take your index and middle fingers like we did earlier, wrap them around your big toes. Take the legs straighter and wider, whatever that ends up looking like. And try to release the inner hip here, right? So we're working with gravity again, and we're working both sides at the same time, so it feels a little different than it did earlier. Just let the arms even work with gravity more, right? So let your arms just be heavy. Find the place between releasing the inner hip completely and hugging in to protect the joint. Remember, there's always that middle, and that's the place where we can open but still be safe. And allow yourself to just kind of wiggle around in this. So maybe rocking a little bit to the side, you can flex and rotate your toes, right? Like we did earlier. You can draw circles with your feet. Just kind of play and wiggle around into it some. See what happens. And as you rock bigger and bigger and bigger. Bring your left foot all the way to the floor, and then let your right leg meet the left leg. So maybe the feet actually come together, maybe your knees are a little bit bent, don't worry about that. Take your right arm, stretch back out to the right. And then take the right hand back to your right foot. Open out to center. And do the same thing to the second side. So you're gonna rock all the way over to the right, let that foot come to the floor, take your left leg to meet your right leg-ish, and then the left arm extends back out to the left. Try to relax your shoulder down. Let the legs do what they're doing.
And then take the left hand back to the left foot. Open back out to the middle and just rock a little bit, right? Has your inner hip changed at all since when we were just here? And then hug the knees into the chest and just keep rocking a little. Let's squeeze the knees in tight to the chest. Go ahead and pull your forehead in to meet your knees. Hug in tight here. And then release it. Give yourself a full body stretch. Fingertips to toes. Here it comes. Release your stretch. And let your body get comfy. So whether that's lying here on your back, propped in one manner or another, maybe you want a seated meditation, and you are home. So if you want legs up the wall, take legs up the wall. That's pretty yummy. So wherever you're going to be, relax into this place. Releasing the muscles. Release control of your breath. But see if you can stay focused on it. Keeping the mind present and quiet. Giving yourself just a few final moments of rest here. If you would like to linger a little longer here in Shavasana, you know you can. And if you're ready,
Allow your breath to gently deepen. Restoring small movements to your body first. Gently allow yourself to wiggle and stretch. When you're ready, bring the feet flat. Slowly roll yourself to the side. Keep your eyes closed. Gently pressing yourself up to seated. Sitting well. We'll bring the palms to touch. Bowing to the light within. Namaste. Thanks for playing today, you guys. If you were here last week, the dogs were crazy, and you can see they're so much more calm today. So thanks for coming. Hopefully I will see you, or actually see you soon, and everyone stays safe and happy. Remember, make requests. Say hi on Facebook or shoot me an email. I miss you guys. Bye. Bye.